What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. You already know what it is. It's your boy Goods, XY, Big Z. We back in the building, man. Listen, I ain't gonna hold y'all, man. We gonna get straight into it, man. And today we talking about Drake again, man. This is starting to feel like on the next episode of Juicy Drake. That's what this is starting to feel like, man. But listen, all in all, man, this man just keeps doing things that just give us things to talk about. And it also creates discussions around things, man. And what I want to talk about is my guy, man, Justin Hunt, man. Shout out to Justin Hunt, man. Justin Hunt put out this interesting video, man, and it's called Drake reportedly tried to cancel Kendrick's Toronto shows but failed miserably. But in the midst of this report, Justin talks about a couple things that I think are very interesting because we kind of had this conversation on the live show where we talked about Drake's impact to Toronto and the people of Toronto. And I pointed out how easy it is for people like us in the US to look at Toronto and think and assume that Drake does so much for Toronto because of the optics that we see here back in the States, right? But the only person you're gonna get the actual word from are people from Toronto. That's where your sources should be. And it just seems like the constant theme to this is people are saying that Drake actually does not do what people think he does for Toronto. And that's a pretty big deal because that's what Drake is literally standing on at this point, right? And with Kendrick Lamar going into Toronto, selling out a stadium twice, after being doubted that he could even sell out an arena. It's insane to see this. But let's go to this video by company man Justin Hunt, my guy. Let's talk about it.
Now, Justin Tinsley is a longtime hip-hop journalist, a longtime journalist, generally speaking, period. He also works heavily in sports. He also wrote a book on Biggie Smalls. And so he wrote a full review of Kendrick's Toronto shows. It's more than just a review here. So the first few minutes of this article has literal news. And so let's take a look at what Justin Tinsley reports coming out of Toronto. He went to Toronto to check this out. On 2001's Hola Ovito, a standout cut from the Library of Congress, immortalized the blueprint. That's interesting that he called Hola Ovito a standout cut. When that album dropped, there was a lot of people who were really critical of that song. I loved it.
Yeah, I was one. Hola Ovito. I was definitely one of them.
Nevertheless, on 2001's Hola Ovito, a standout cut from the Library of Congress immortalized the blueprint, Jay-Z declared that if he wasn't better than his late close friend, the Notorious Big, he was the closest one. As the North American leg of Kendrick Lamar and SZA's massively successful Grand National Tour nears its end, it's not audacious to say he is close to being the greatest. Yet before getting into logistics of why that holds weight, one must understand the moment that stood in front of Lamar, his Super Bowl halftime show, and Drake's lawsuit against Universal Music Group over the smash hit diss record Not Like Us are still in litigation. And yes, there's no denying what the last year has done for Kendrick Lamar's career. And to keep it a buck, Drake's too. Hours before Thursday's show at the Rogers Center, I sat at Gabby's, a quaint restaurant, a stone's throw away from the Toronto Blue Jays Stadium. Kendrick has always valued Toronto as a tour destination, but the conversation revolved around what Drake meant to Toronto. So
this is super important here. So this is where getting the thoughts of people who are actually in Toronto is important. And even I've seen it in my comments. Even I've seen it in other comments on social media. Like a lot of people from Canada are coming out and saying, bruh, like we don't even fuck Drake like that. And that's the crazy part. So it just shows you how we can be from here in a whole different place, looking outwards to Canada and thinking that Drake does this just from the optics of what we see him do here in the US. I think what this waitress says is very interesting. Let's go.
He's eating at Gabby's. Okay. A stone's throw away from the Toronto Blue Jays Stadium, the Rogers Center, and he's having dinner and he's talking to the waitresses about what Drake means to Toronto. Look at the answers he publishes here. F Drake. Yeah, he's had hit records, but you're a joke. I hope Kendrick embarrasses the F out of him tonight, said a bartender named Melissa I spoke to in Toronto.
Man. Y'all can't say that y'all haven't been seeing this in other places. I'm just saying, man. These are people from Toronto. Like, she's from there. I know there's a difference when you're from somewhere and you never see somebody do anything for that city. It's wild.
He's a joke. He hopes Kendrick embarrasses the F out of him tonight. F Drake. F Drake. And she went on record. One second applause to Melissa. Her coworker, Travis, co-signed her statement.
So this is another coworker co-signing the statement. It's great.
All that rep in Toronto is fake. I hope Kendrick does not like us 100 times and it keeps Drake up at night.
Damn. I'm sorry.
Yo. Yo, we talked about this on the live. We talked about how people are going to say that Drake reps Toronto, but repping Toronto ain't enough for people that are from Toronto. Like, it's cool to get on stage and say, I'm from Toronto. It's cool to get on stage and say, oh, I'm from the Six. It's cool to get on stage and put on a Toronto accent. But what are you actually doing for Toronto? And I don't mean by, going to a game. I don't mean by, buying real estate. I don't mean those things. Like, what are you doing for the city of Toronto? You know what I mean? And it's not to say that you have to. You don't have to. But this is what people kind of look for you to do. As a representative of Toronto who is wealthy, who has the means, people look for you to do things for the city, give back to the city. It just is what it is. It's just what comes with the territory, right? But if you're going to want a city to back you up and have your back, especially in situations like these, you gotta be loved, man. And I think that's the one thing that people are missing here. Drake might be from Toronto. People might know he's from there. He might have yelled it out on national stages because of who he is. But you might not have no love out there, man. I'm just saying, man.
One of the big conversations around this battle has been the impact of culture and connection to where you're from. Kendrick leaned heavily into that. In the chart report, we talked about how Big X the Plug and Glorilla, the artists who are having success on the charts, all have very distinct sounds. And they all tend to lean into sounds from their region as opposed to everyone just being from the internet. When that cultural element came into the battle, Drake was lost because he spent most of his career switching accents. Or, riding waves from the South or from Atlanta or whatever. Not to take away from things that he has accomplished, but generally speaking, if you look at how Drake has spent most of his time, it was more time with people in Atlanta or Memphis or whatever sound he was adopting for himself, than it was putting on artists from Toronto or putting on other people who were doing a sound that was native to his homeland, right? He just didn't spend that much time with it. And now here we are, the day that Kendrick is doing the Rogers Center, a stadium that Drake hasn't even performed at. And he's got a waitress and a bartender saying, F Drake, he's a joke. All that rep in Toronto is fake. I hope Kendrick does not like us 100 times and it keeps Drake.
That's crazy.
What Drake has done for Toronto from an outside perspective can't be understated. For better and worse, according to Toronto residents, he is the foremost recognizable representative for the city on an international stage. 100%. I mean, I don't think you need the residents to say that. I think the rest of us can say that.
And that's what we're saying. Like, I think, everybody understands that. When people think Toronto, they definitely think Drake. He is one of the biggest representatives of that play. It's not even a question. Like, everybody can understand that. But I don't think that's enough to get you love in the city. You know what I mean? That's not enough to get you love in the city. You got to do more.
Maybe Celine Dion. Is she from Toronto? I think maybe Drake and Celine Dion might be the biggest in the history of the of the city, if not the country. So I don't even think that you have to say that according to Toronto residents. I think, no, according to us, right? According to the rest of the world, he's the one we know. He's clearly got enough pull to make Canadian politicians like the former head of the New Democratic Party, Jagmeet Singh, publicly apologize on social media for attending last week's show. Now, that was a big deal. He attended the Grand National Tour. Certified Boogeyman was like, anybody who has pictures of him at the concert, post him here, we're going to embarrass him. Right. So here's a local politician going to a Kendrick and Drake show,
which we also talked about. That's just crazy within itself. The apology to me is wild. And, and real quick, I read a comment on Justin's video, and I want to bring this up because this was kind of interesting. I read this comment on Justin's video. The comment right here says, Canadian here, just wanted to correct some details because I think they make the story a bit more interesting / embarrassing for Canada. Mostly embarrassing. So Jagmeet isn't a local local politician. He was the leader of one of our federal parties. So imagine if Kamala Harris had posted this apology on her Instagram story. That's why it's so fucking weird that he did it. This man was leading a federal party just a few months ago, and now he's apologizing to Drake. It's really embarrassing. Second, Jagmeet just recently lost so badly in our federal election that his entire party lost its status as a federal party, and he resigned as a result. Basically, it's like if Kamala lost so hard the entire Democratic Party dissolved. These are loose comparisons because NDP was never as prominent as the liberals or conservatives, but whatever. So Jagmeet has suffered a historic political loss, threatened the legitimacy of his party in our political arena, resigned as a result, partially forced by the party, and then 4 months later, he is apologizing to Drake. Very interesting. Also, I don't know if this is for certain, but I feel pretty confident in saying Drake brings almost no money to Toronto. So I'm saying you got to hear from the hometown people. You got to hear from the hometown people. As someone who lives here, the man rarely performs here. He rarely parties here. He doesn't show up for any events here to try to bring attention to them. He's got one half decent club, and he goes to Raptors games that never have a problem selling out tickets. My gosh. Finally, Goof is 1,000% not slang for pedo. Justin got that spot on, but I just wanted to reiterate. I guess it's a Canadian thing. I did not realize that until now. I sincerely hope people are joking about this one. Very interesting comment. I always think it's great to hear from people who are actually there. Because we can speculate and say everything we want from here. But I think it's always good to hear from people there. But I just wanted to point that out.
And Drake saw that, DM'd him and said, "You're a goof. You're a goof." Now, there's been online conversations back and forth all week about what goof means in Toronto. And some people are saying it means pedo. I don't think it means that. I don't think it means PDF. I don't think so. I don't think that's what Friday Ricky Dredd told me one time. Maybe I'm wrong. 1 second applause to Friday Ricky Dredd. But this is a big story. So now all the...
I've always thought goof just meant goofy. It's just short for goofy. I just thought it was short for that.
Drake fans and the OVO fans are out here jumping on the local politician, Jagmeet Singh, because he went to Kendrick and SZA.
Crazy.
They asked him why he went. He said he went because of SZA. He went to see SZA. Even the local politicians couldn't be kept away from Rogers Center last week.
It's insane.
And so Jagmeet Singh is under all kinds of pressure. He shouldn't have gone, right? If you've got someone who basically is responsible for $450 million a year in revenue to your city, Drake has that type of economic impact with however many tens of millions of followers he has on his social media. And you have to run for re-election to keep your job? You shouldn't have been there, right? You shouldn't have been there. But he apologized. Now, I think all of this is crazy, right? Because a lot of this stuff really ties into some of the issues I have with what Drake represents. Maybe not him personally. I don't know him personally, but what he represents. He represents someone who never talks about things that are bigger than him. He never talks about social issues. He's gone on record talking about he can only write about himself, right? I've done pieces on that on this channel. Check it out if you missed it, right? And so this Kendrick Lamar going to Toronto and selling out the Rogers Center 2 nights in a row, right? Last week we talked about how they had a protest. Fans got together and put together a protest. They wanted people to come out and get pizza and free hoodies to protest Kendrick selling out the Rogers Center.
Crazy.
Right. And I said then, these people out here protested a Kendrick Lamar show. There is war in Iran going on right now. People are broke all over the world right now. Debt is crazy out of hand right now. There are tariffs, people with layoffs, losing jobs. There's AI taking jobs. There was a whole trucking boycott that happened in in Canada over the past year. I saw that over on We Love Hip Hop Network. They got real things that are going on, and this fan base took time out and organized and said, "We're going to protest Kendrick coming to Toronto."
I mean, this shows you the problem with fandom, right? You know, priorities get mixed up. You know, you start to feel like these celebrities and how they feel and everything going on around them is personal to you. So this becomes the very personal thing that you're willing to fight for. This is what makes it so dangerous, because a lot of these people, they drift into this fandom, this like level of fandom, to the point where you probably had people out there who never thought they would protest anything. But when it came to this Drake thing and Kendrick performing at Rogers Theater and everybody thought there was an injustice to Drake, they probably didn't even think twice. Probably ran out there. Probably didn't realize they was protesting until they started protesting. Probably like, oh shit, I'm actually protesting right now. I'm fighting for a cause. Imagine that. And you're fighting for Drake? Man, come on.
Coming to Toronto. And then now this week, we've got, again, new Democratic Party Jagmeet Singh publicly apologizing on social media for attending the show, said he went to go see SZA, and Drake calls him a goof and the fan base jumps on him.
Yeah.
I liked it better when my rappers were pissed off at politicians over policy.
Yeah.
I liked it when rappers would call out Dolores Tucker or whoever because of legislation. This base is calling out their new Democratic Party Jagmeet Singh for attending a concert. Like their whole thing all the priorities are out of whack. And that's another sign of the shift that we're in.
Yeah.
Right, we've got the Carter 6 that didn't land. We've got all this stuff that's happening to Drake. We've got Young Thug saying he wants to become a streamer right now. I mean, this guy just got out of jail. He has no juice right now.
I've been telling y'all ain't want to listen to me. I made a video a while ago talking about how streamers becoming the new rappers when it comes to like the ones who got it and who got the influence. People was all in the comments. They was getting at me, yo, you don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? What are you saying? I was like, hey, listen, I'll just keep it real. I ain't here to tell y'all what y'all want to hear, man. But there's a reason why these rappers going on these people's streams. There's a reason why they doing it. And I'm sure when you go on these streams as a rapper, you start seeing what these streamers got. They making his bread just streaming all day and they barely doing anything interesting. You know what I mean? Now, I don't think that, streaming is like a very, very like safe thing to bet all your coins on, but definitely something to do on the side. So if Young Thug could continue to rap and do streaming, like shit, get your bread, dog. But I think rappers are seeing what streamers are making. Like these streamers are making bank. And if we're being honest, it's hard. It's hard to make a living in music right now because you could be hot one day and then the next day nobody fucking with you, so it's a very tough business to be in right now. So I don't even blame him for saying that.
No juice on Young Thug. I think and every time he talks about Gunna being a snitch or whatever, a rat or whatever, the audience ain't feeling it.
Yeah.
I feel like whatever era we've been in over the past 15 years, it is over.
Yeah.
Over the past 10 years, it's a wrap now. And we're seeing it in different ways. And now we've got a fan base that's willing to protest a Kendrick Lamar concert over something real in the world. And we've got a rapper calling a politician a goof because he attended a rap show rather than over policy. That right there, all this crystallizes my issues with what Drake represents because it's all about him. Here's the news of this article. This is the sort of anxiety and intensity that permeated in the air before, during, and certainly after the show. It's why both nights felt like such a line in the sand moment because in many ways they were. The city may appreciate Drake's decades-long dominance, but blind loyalty doesn't exist either. According to sources, attempts by Drake's camp to have both tour shows canceled or postponed allegedly took place in hopes of booking OVO Fest. Drake tried to stop.
You see, this is why this shit continues on, bro. It's like, yo, this man has been doing everything in his power to just be petty, to just be Karenish. That's what this man has been trying to do. Instead of rapping, instead of saying what you gotta say on record, this man has filed litigation. Lawsuits are out there. There's a whole lawsuit going on right now over this diss track. And then on top of that, you trying to cancel shows? Come on, man. This kind of behavior, the people that defend this kind of behavior is crazy. But let's continue.
Stop the whole joint. The whole joint. I mean, this dude is out here suing people. He is suing a record label for putting the song out.
Yeah.
And he tried to backdoor these tour stops and trade it in for OVO Fest at the Rogers Center. Paranoid and spiraling to a T. Listen to this. I'll read it again. It keeps going. According to sources, attempts by Drake's camp to have both tour shows canceled or postponed allegedly took place in hopes of booking OVO Fest. However, by then, paperwork with the Rogers Center had already been filed, and no other venue in the city could hold the same capacity. No other venue in the city. Ultimately, the best that could happen was a stream with Kai Cenat, which also fell through. We covered that.
Oh my gosh, bruh. So this man tried to book OVO Fest to cancel the show, and when that couldn't work, he tried to run the stream with Kai Cenat. So basically, that ain't work. So he finally decided he wanted to use in caps a black streamer, aka Kai Cenat. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, if Drake is literally showing people who he is, and if you're not able to see who he is and how he operates, I don't know what the fuck you looking at. This shit is insane, bro. So that's why the whole Kai Cenat stream was happening. That was the whole reasoning for it. It's insane. So you couldn't do that. So you tried to do that to run on the same time that Kendrick was having these shows. Man, come on. They did a number on this man, bro. Like, cause the spirals this man doing, they doing numbers on this man. Golly.
That last week. Though universally known in Toronto sports circles for his close affiliation with the Raptors, Drake's relationship with the Blue Jays is cordial at best. Part of his 2011 Headlines video was filmed at Rogers Center, and the artwork for his 2015 Meek Mill disc Back-to-Back featured Blue Jays legend Joe Carter's 1993 walk-off World Series home run. Outside of that, his presence at Blue Jays games isn't well documented. So when the request came in, the team and stadium didn't feel much of a need to try and honor it because it wasn't as if the bond was ever that strong to begin with.
There you go. This is exactly what I be talking about, man. When I talk about Drake coming back to Toronto, all of a sudden the Canadian accent is on 24 hours a day. You know, before you had all these other accents. Now it's like the Toronto accent is on 24 hours a day. You want everybody to know you from Toronto.
Don't say a word, brother.
How you don't have a relationship with these people at this stadium, but you over here trying to ask them to give you life-saving favors? Maybe you could pull that shit off at the Raptors stadium, but over here, they like, bro, we don't know you. They like, bro, we don't know you over here. So how you just coming over here just trying to get shows canceled so you can run your shit? Like, imagine what that even would have done. I think, honestly, imagine what that would have done to the people in Toronto that actually wanted to go to that show. Let's be real here. You already have these people who do not fuck with Drake in Toronto. They're going to the show to have a good time. Imagine this show getting canceled because Drake wanted to book his OVO Fest there. In Drake's mind, yeah, this is a super petty move. Everybody gonna be like, oh man, Drake control the city, but you just fucked over the city. A city of people who wanted to go see Kendrick. Now, Drake could have played this a whole different way. Y'all want to go see Kendrick? Go see Kendrick. The fact that he is spiraling over this, you're inviting that energy for people to express how they feel about you, and they're looking at you a certain way. Especially now that people are trying to make the people that went to Kendrick concert villain. You know, they're looking at them like, oh, you're not a real Canadian, you're not this and that. That's going to create resentment, my guy, and you already don't have the best position right now. But hey, who am I?
Jesus. 1 second applause. So we have Drake trying to backdoor the tour, right?
That's
Drake
crazy.
is over here saying, now throw that out, I'll do OVO Fest. How about that? I'll do OVO Fest. I'll bring all my friends from America. All my American friends, I'm going to bring all of them out. Everybody from Atlanta's going to come out with me. We're going to do that at OVO Fest. Let's do that. Can we do that?
Everybody from Atlanta.
How about that? And then Toronto, the Blue Jays was like, I mean, it's already booked and everything, but like, honestly, you don't even really come around like that. You know, like it was cool. You put old Joe Carter on your cover art that one time. That was cool. You know, like Headlines was a long time ago though, Drizzy. You know that, right? You don't even really come around here like that. Nah, we're just gonna kick it with Kendrick and SZA. We're just gonna keep letting that rock in. Look at this. Somebody check on Drake, right? Because I have empathy for the fact that he's the only person on the planet who's experienced something like this. Like the way the L's just keep.
But that's what happens. I hear you, Justin. But that's what happens. That's what happens when you kick and scream and fight the L. If you just accepted the L the first time around, bro, we would not be here. You can't keep kicking and fighting and screaming, bro. Let the L happen, bro. It happened. It's just the fact you keep trying to convert these L's into W's. That's what's fucking you up, brother. That's what's doing it, bro. Keep fighting the L's, man. You gotta let it go.
Tidal waving in is something I ain't seen. His own city. He got local politicians in the crowd. He's got bartenders and a waitress, Melissa and Travis, saying F Drake. That Toronto love is fake.
Man.
And then when he's like, he brings in $450 million a year to the city of Toronto. And when it's time to use that leverage to help him out, the other people, which I'd imagine the Blue Jays bring in more than $450 million, they looked at him and said, oh man, it's crazy. We're not even really tight like that. What did Kendrick say? He said, what did Kendrick say?
He was like, yeah, man, shit, we got some shit open next month. You want to try to do next month? Like, cause we fucking with SZA and Kendrick right now, man. They kind of got some shit going on. People want to see them, dog. My bad, dog. No, we don't be kicking it like that.
Surprised you wanted that feature request. We got some shit to address. That's what this looks like to me. This is a crazy wrinkle, a crazy addition to this.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
Crazy.
Now, it's not, in my mind, obviously, we're literally talking about someone who's willing to sue his record label for putting out a song in a rap battle that he started. But to see him try to cancel the tour dates, that's not really surprising to me as much.
Yeah.
As much as the city being like, oh my gosh.
Yo.
Oh my gosh. I said this before, I'll say it again. I've been saying it the whole time. This Shakespearean shakedown is something incredible. And all of this could have been avoided if Drake was just a better person. Just a better person.
Damn. Damn. One more time. One time for Justin, man. If Drake was just a better person, we'd be having a different conversation. That's true. I mean, imagine if Drake was like this guy who did so much for Toronto, talked about social issues, made differences for the city, did things like people we talking about Drake completely different. But all we're seeing right now is we're seeing who Drake really is. We're seeing this man throw tantrums. We're seeing this man fight this L. We're seeing this man sue. We're seeing this man get upset and try to get shows canceled, try to be petty. It's like he thinks like being petty is cool. Like people are gonna look at him and be like, yo, you cool as shit. You got that show canceled. I think it's the complete opposite, my guy. But hey, that's where we at, man. Let me know how you feel about this, man. Shout out to Justin Hunt, man. One more time for Justin Hunt. Nothing in this kind of surprised me, really. Everything is kind of like on brand for Drake. I think we're going to see more about people who are just being honest about how they feel about Drake in the city of Toronto. And I think Drake is trying to change that and trying to like just tie more into his Toronto roots, but I think it's too late. You can't do that now that you need the city. You know what I mean? People are going to see that, and people are not going to be like, people are not naive in that sense, but I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Till next time, you already know what it is. It's your boy Goods, BigZoeTV. Let's go.
Niggas acting bad, but somebody gotta do it. Got my foot up on the gas, but somebody gotta do it.